Today, I'm joined by Stephen Clark, founder and CEO of RTG Group, a for-profit social enterprise built on the ethos of receiving through giving. A former pro hockey player, ton of experience in advertising at some big agencies. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Chris.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. Hitting the ground swinging here. Tell us a little bit about what a for-profit social enterprise is and how have you developed this model?
Yeah, a number of years ago, it's probably maybe between 5 and 10 years ago, they were looking for kind of a way to bring the for-profit and nonprofit together. So they created the term a social enterprise. And so you could be a for-profit social enterprise or a nonprofit. The whole idea behind that was that they needed to bring more of the for-profit thinking to the space. And so I decided to go for profit because I thought there's too many restrictions, quite frankly, that were placed by the government on the nonprofits and charity world, and that we could do things that they couldn't. But in collaboration with them, we didn't say, you guys do yours, we'll do ours. We wanted to really bring it together. And so that's why we created a for-profit social enterprise. And the other reason, Chris, is pretty obvious, is that there's one of the largest, if not the largest, probably industry in the world is the financial community, right? There are trillions and trillions of dollars. And they look right now at the giving space as, oh yeah, they do good, but we can't get involved because we have other people's money and we have to invest it and everything. That's the other real benefit of a for-profit social enterprise. We can build programs that can actually get them those returns, which we actually do.
Got it. And so who would you say is your ideal client? Who do you love working with?
For me, because it's my background, you mentioned the advertising world. So one of the things that's happening in the world today, so for example, I think I mentioned to you earlier that the giving space, the corporations and the people in the government give about 1.2 to 1.4 trillion dollars every year to the 1.8 million charities and nonprofits. Of that, corporations give 25 billion. And everybody, every time I say that, people say only 25 billion and 1.2. Here's the deal of corporations. You have to understand that, and a lot of people don't. There's a formula that's given by the government. And based on your gross profits, you can take a certain percentage and you can give that to get tax receipts, and you lower your taxes a little bit. And then when you pay your tax, you got after-tax profit. There's no companies that are going to give after-tax profit. They've got shareholders and everybody else to give that to. So it's not really their fault. But for me, as a for-profit, I can't touch that 25 billion anyway. They want tax receipts. What I can touch is the 500 billion that those same companies spend every year on marketing. And I happen to be pretty good at that. So that was really good for me to come in and say, I'm going to go after that space, and I'm going to give these CMOs exactly what they're looking for. They're looking now for all that great stuff around their brand awareness and strengthening the emotional connection, all that, but they're also looking to sell product. And over the years, that hasn't been the case, but now it's getting more and more. And so we have that model that we created for them that allows us to go into them and say, we can guarantee sales. And at the same time, we can make sure that your emotional connection strengthened because we feed kids and then are ending homelessness. So you get to take credit for that through your marketing budget. So it's a novel approach.
It's really interesting that you say that you can guarantee sales. I'm sure a lot of CMOs' ears and eyes perk up when you say that. How can you have such a high level promise and how do you back that up?
That's a fun one for me because I've had CMOs, I've dealt with CMOs my entire life. And so they say to me, wait a second, you just come off your stint at Saatchi and transition your company and everything. How can publicist Saatchi, $12 billion company, not guarantee anything, but you can? How's that working? So I tell them, and it's a lot of fun. I say, I take your $1 million and I do marketing, but not for you. It's like, what? I do marketing for me. I have a membership program and people pay me $48.70 a month that provides 30 meals to a child. And 40% of that goes into this new homeless program, which does job training, guarantees them jobs, and subsidized housing. So I use social media influencers who do challenges and do all the great stuff that they're doing. And they take that $1 million and they guarantee me a 5%. So in that particular case, Chris, I've got 55% of $1 million, it's 50,000 in my program, paying me roughly 48, 70, roughly $50 a month. So I've turned that, and I've obviously, as a for-profit, I make a profit. And the first thing I do with the $1 million is I buy the company's product. So I can guarantee it because I'm buying it. And when I tell them that, Chris, most of them think that's great. I tell them they're wrong. It's only good because what we do with the product is we got a car company, for example, right now, a big one. And we're doing this in Miami, in your hometown. And so we will be buying those, but then the company will be giving them away to the single mother who takes a bus an hour and a half each way. She's going to get a free car. We're going to bring an insurance company that's going to do the same deal with us, and a gas company, probably Chevron or Shell. And now that mother has got 3 kids at home is now going to get a free car. She owns the car, and all the expenses on that car to pay for the 3 years. And those companies, obviously, I mean, they're now in in any community they're in, they're superstars. They're like, this is fantastic. And they give them 2 each month away at dealerships and everything. And they're in the paper, and the mayor will be there and all that stuff. And that's all great and everything, but it's through our program that can happen. And so that's why we have a lot of fun actually right now with the guarantee. I don't think we will for a long time, for too much longer, because now the word's getting out. And so when we say guarantee, oh yeah, we heard about this. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we're having fun with that as well. But you're absolutely right. It's not a normal term that you use. So we get called on it a lot. But once we explain it, some of the responses I've got from some of them are, okay, so we can do this every year, right? Yeah. And in fact, why would you ever stop if I'm guaranteeing you? And also the other thing that a lot of people don't know, Chris, is that CMOs, of course, for years and years, they got the marketing budgets and they were doing all this great marketing stuff. But just recently, they've now been told that, hey, we want to make sure we're turning some of that into actual sales. So when you make your big presentation at the end of the year or to the CEO and the board, this is what happened. Make sure you also add how many sales there are. So CMOs are like, whoa, and then all of a sudden I came along and said, I could take some of that and guarantee. So that's going to help you. So that's where we're going with all these things, because as I mentioned to you before we started, 500 billion a year in marketing these companies spend. And so now they've got to start to justify where some of that goes, because for years it was sales and marketing. And now all of a sudden it's coming sales and marketing. So that's where we're going.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for clarifying. You're extremely passionate about what you do, Steve. I can tell by the way that you're explaining and talking about it. You also have a past as a professional athlete, and you said that this is more rewarding than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What a lot of people don't know about professional sports is that it's a game up until you become a profession. And that's not just a game anymore. There's more involved to it than that. You have agents and managers and all the other stuff. When you're playing, it's fun, but then there's all the other stuff. And I'm not taking anything away from that. I had 5 years it was just fantastic. But what I'm doing right now, and I think I also mentioned these to you, sometimes people are searching all the time, their why, they call it their why or whatever. And for me, I always knew that I was put here for something, but I didn't know it wasn't. But I knew it wasn't going to go to my grave and they're saying, oh, he was a professional hockey player. For me, that's a big deal. Or a big advertising. It's got a big advertising company, sold it to him. So what? That didn't mean anything to me. Now, what I'm doing means a lot to me. I'm now going to be able to go and say he made a positive impact for the world. That's what I wanted. And my mentors would always say to me, what do you want on your tombstone? I hated that question. But yeah, I'd say, anyway, he made a positive impact in the world. That's what I want. Now I'm actually doing something where I can say, that's exactly what I'm going to be known for. If I'm known for anything, that's the legacy I want to leave. So yeah, I'm very passionate about it.
With such a solid guarantee in place on the business, what does your client acquisition strategy look like? How do you bring new people into your world?
That's the cool thing as I build. And as I told you before, I was a creative business strategist. That's what I became. I jokingly tell people, because I get asked quite a few times, especially when I'm doing interviews, how does an ex-hockey player become a creative business strategist and one of the top in the industry? And I joke and I say, hockey players get hit in the head a lot. It's just natural. That's what happens to us. And everybody has the right brain and left brain. But I got hit in the head so many times that the left and right meshed together, and that allowed me to be very creative, and that's what happened. Now, when I tell that story, Chris, I actually get a few of them say, "Really?" And of course, I'm like, "No, what are you crazy? Of course not." But the answer is I don't know. So that's where I have the most fun in those programs. So one of the ones we built, which is our community program, a lot of your listeners are going to be hearing about this. It's called Purpose Driven Travel. So PDT Los Angeles, PDT Miami, PDT Atlanta. And these are that go in their community programs. And who we tap into is the volunteers. There's 80 million volunteers in North America, charity volunteers. They're not legally allowed to get compensated. So we go in and say, okay, here's the deal, guys. It's feeding children and eradicating homelessness, full transparency. You're getting members. We don't obviously get donors. You're getting members to this program. And our whole thing is called the Do Good Society. And there'll be a social media platform launching in a few months to compete with Facebook and everybody else about people doing good and around positivity. So that's what we do. So they go out and do that. But if you're raising money for diabetes because you have diabetes, you might say, which I know they do because we did all the beta testing, I think your program's great. Obviously, we're not going to get any problems with transparency, stuff we get right now. But I have diabetes, sir, so I raise money for diabetes, and that's why I do it. So I can't do that. So we show them in diabetes, for example, we had 95% of them sign up within 24 hours to do our program because we show them how doing our program, because again, we're for profit, we can give money back and they can actually get more money, go back to their charity of choice. They can get compensated, in our case, with free travel, which is why we call it purpose-driven travel. So we build everything. We use influencers. I told you about that. So we get really creative in how we market, but it's always through third party. Nothing's direct. It's always, we'll do the challenge. We'll get the Mr. Beasts of the world involved who want to do good anyway, and we can compensate them. We're not asking them to do anything pro bono or whatever because we get marketing budgets, which we pay back to them. So, of course, everybody wins in our model, which is everybody must win more than they put in, is really the way to become successful and make sure that everybody's enjoying it and will keep doing it. And that's why we do what we do.
Wow, that's really it's a very interesting model. What does your team organization structure look like? How are you maintaining this?
That's the other good thing is we go into a city and we get a managing partner in each one of these cities. And that managing partner looks after purpose-driven travel, for example. And they only have about 6 or 7 people. That's all they need because their focus is volunteers and charities. That's what they focus on. And then there's 1 or 2, it depends on the city, of RTG people in that same city. And they're the ones that are reaching out to, and they're making sure they partner up with the food organizations and the homeless people and making sure all that happens. But they also are reaching out to the corporate sponsors in that city and saying, hey, listen, Atlanta, it's your city. So people like Delta Airlines and Porsche and people who are there, Chick-fil-A. So those are brands that are there and it's their city. And we have all these campaigns, it's your city, let's rise up Atlanta and all these different things. And so we get the cities engaged. And we believe that the fastest way to eradicate these causes is one city at a time. Get them all together and it's your city. And that's where we've had the best success so far, where people are getting involved and wanting to be part of it because it's your city. And as you probably know, Chris, young people today get really passionate about their community. So it's the best way to do it.
That makes sense. You mentioned a few of the cities that you already launched in. What are some of those and what are the next ones that you got your eyes?
Yeah, actually, I have a meeting this afternoon because we're just signing a deal this week, actually, to have a company partner with us because they love their financial company, but they also do some really other cool things. And they want to launch another 10 this year. So we had a couple more we were going to be launching. They want to do 10. They want to provide the funding. They want to provide their teams to be able to go and do that. And we're looking at, and honestly, when you start doing, we do a fact sheet or data sheet on each city. It's not good. There's major problems in pretty much every city. So we can go in and clean it up and work with them and again, involve the people. We're talking to people like Seattle right now, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Vegas. San Francisco, which has got some very big heavy hitters, and one of them, we won't name her, but one of them was recently on the front page of the paper saying, I give a lot of money to solve or at least reduce the homeless problem. And every year it keeps getting worse. Like, where's my money going? So when you start to get those things, and that's, I told you before, that's that transparency is getting louder, that word. And we basically don't have it because when we tell them for 4870, this is what we're doing, most of those people say, how the hell do you do that for 4870? And we tell them very transparent. So I think that's why we can work well with the existing models rather than just say, hey, what you're doing doesn't work. And so we're going to come in and build a new one. And hopefully in 15 years or 20 years, you guys won't even be here. That's never going to happen. It's a 100-year-old model that's going to be here 100 years from now. So you've got to be really creative and strategic and say, let's come together. You keep doing what you're doing because, as I said, they employ a lot of people and they do good. Their intentions are great, but they just need some help. And I believe the help is through for-profit social enterprises that are going to work with them. That's what we do.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And it's about partnerships. It's not competing. It's just helping each other.
You think of that industry, Chris, and it's obvious they don't collaborate and it's not intentionally. It's like they're going after same donors and same grants. And this, hey, I love what you're doing, but get away from me. Here, and we're stronger together. No one's going to doubt that. No one's going to question that. We know we're stronger together. You need to start to build it so that we can start to work together. That's what we offer. When we go in and say, give us your volunteers, you can imagine what some of the remarks are. They're not very favorable. Once we show them how it works, I've had CEOs saying, you just showed me a model. This one guy, 30 years in the giving space. You just showed me a model where my volunteers can go do a different cause. I can make more money and you can legally incentivize my volunteers. This is great. I'm giving you all my volunteers. And the reality is the CEOs, and some have said, no, I'm not doing that. And I've said to them very politely, it doesn't really matter whether you do it or not, because you don't own the volunteers. And once they can find that they can still make more money for you and get free travel, yeah, they're coming. So we're going to get them. They're going to come. And so right now, we focus on partnering with the charities. There's definitely going to be other ways that we can do it to market to locals and stuff like that to say, hey, come and get free travel and raise more money for your charity of choice. And we can show them how it's done. But collaboration is really key.
Yeah, I can see that. And I love how good intentions you have, but we're going to go down this road regardless. So hop on or see you at the end of the road.
Get left behind. Yeah, absolutely. But we'll get them eventually. I've told CEOs, not many, by the way, are objecting to it. But if you get that mindset that this is the way it's done, I mean, it's sometimes difficult to accept new things. And you also have to remember now that you've got all these other people who are AI now. The tech world, for example, 90% of the tech that's built for specifically targeted charity world is built to help them raise more money. So when I saw that, I was like, you know how much money is raised already, right? Do you think it's the lack of money that is the problem here? I don't think so. So it's not really a solution. And so more money won't do it because they'll just go hire more people. But that's the nature of the industry. And so with what we've got, we're really going to be able to come together and work together, but to actually solve some of these problems.
I love that. And speaking of AI, because I know businesses everywhere are adopting and integrating, how are you and your team leveraging AI to stay competitive? Or maybe you're not leveraging it in certain places that.
Yeah, no, the one thing about me, and I get this a lot because I'm not necessarily a 25-year-old kid. I embrace all the technology. I look at it, I assess it, I figure out how we can use it. I also have one of our partners is a strategic IT guy, and I surround myself with really good people, Chris. And so we're adopting AI in many ways. Our new platform, social media platform that's launching, the Do Good Society. So that's really good. That will be, it's going to allow us to communicate with people. Like it's going to also allow, because I think I told you that particular platform, there's no negativity. It's about doing good and going to that site. And if you want to post, certainly you can post, but if you post anything negative, by the time you're finished, it's gone. AI is built to literally, and it's not to send them a message saying you can't do that here and there, because we look at that as negative. So no negative. It just takes it away. Oh, it's gone. What happened to my post? It's gone. Don't post it here. You can post that as many times as you want. It's going to be gone every single time. So we're adopting AI. I think AI is great. I really do. I think it's got to be used. I think we created it. It's still what we do with it that's going to be important. And I think there's a lot of great uses for it. And we've certainly adopted it as a company.
Got it. Yeah. I think you have to adopt at this point.
For sure. Absolutely. And by the way, I don't think people are always telling it's going to eliminate these jobs. No, it's not. It's going to allow our people, for example, are now going to do that stuff, which they had to do anyway. A lot of that's going to get done by AI, which they'll still oversee. And then they'll have time to do other things. We're not cutting people or anything because AI is replacing. And I don't think that's how it will be at all. I think it will just enhance it. It'll allow you to be more productive. And I think it's going to really help a lot of people, a lot of companies for sure. But even individuals now, we see a lot of the individuals, the influencers and stuff like that, using it now, being able to post more and communicate better with people. So I think it's a positive thing. I really do.
I agree. So, Stephen, I'm curious because you have a lot of experience in business and marketing and just in life in general. What are some of the areas of life that you've had to master personally in order to achieve the success that you currently have?
Yeah, one of the things that I learned very young was to surround myself with good people. I had some great mentors. I mean, some outstanding, like Stephen Covey for years. I worked with him and he helped me tremendously. I think that one of the things that we all want to be happy, yet we set ourselves up not to be happy. So I remember when Steven and I first talked and he said, I just had my business. It was just less than 2 years old. And he was saying to me, okay, so I'm going to work with you, but we're going to have some problems because you're conditioned a certain way. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, in professional sports, in sports in general, you don't have to be professional. You're taught to work on your weaknesses, right? I'm like, yeah, of course. Like there we are. He says, yeah, business is total opposite. We're going to find out what you're really good at, you love to do, and we're going to surround you with people who love to do what you hate. First I've ever heard it. It was like, what? He says, yeah. He says, sometimes people talk about getting out of your comfort zone and everything. In business, it's stay in your comfort zone. The longer you're in there, the better you're going to do because that's what you love to do. And that was the greatest advice maybe I ever received. But the one thing that I've always had is a belief, an unwavering belief in myself and what I'm doing. And if there's anything, everybody should read Think and Grow Rich, probably one of the greatest personal development books ever written. And in that, the key to that is, well, he says right in one of his quotes, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. And as soon as I read that, I'm like, if I can conceive it, anybody's dreams or goals or whatever, and achieving is just the end result. There's only one word left. You got to believe in yourself. And you got to create that unwavering belief in yourself where people say, what do you think happened when I first started this? Are you kidding? You can't do that. This is everybody, like literally everybody. And I just knew it was the right thing to do. And that's the other thing for me. It's always been, is this the right thing to do? And sometimes it's not. If I ask that question to myself, it'll be, I don't think so. And I just won't do it because it's not the right thing to do. But if I know right now, and I know deep inside that this is the right thing to do. And it's proving out to be really good because in the next 4 years, we'll probably launch an IPO and it's going to go global and it's a really exciting opportunity. And a lot of people can participate in it, which is what I like as well. The more people we can help, the better for me.
That was actually my next question is what is the launch?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's where we are. We went through the exercise with some of your listeners know what a SPAC is. I didn't know what a SPAC is, but anyway, they're companies that raise money and then they look for companies that they can take public. And so we went through the exercise with them and they planted that seed. They wanted to invest and they wanted to put a lot of money in, but they also wanted 65% of our company, which we said, no, thank you. But it really got me thinking about that. What is the next? Where are we going? And so we're very clear on the models that we want to roll out and that by 2028, 2029, we want to launch an IPO. By that time, we should be 2 or 3 billion a year. And so it'll be perfect time to do it. And probably one of the one of the few, if any, for-profit social enterprises that have done it. So I think we're going to set some new openings there. And again, the financial world, because we start taking this public. We've already had offers to take it to England. One, they were going to fund it for 2 million. We said, this is where we are first. Probably next year, we'll open an office in Switzerland, just because there's a group of impact investors over there that wanted us to do it. And one of my principals is over there as well. So she said, let's have head office here. We'll still do everything in North America. So we still feed. That's one of the things, that's a big thing that people overlook. We do so many things in North America that don't help North Americans. It's beyond me. When I looked at these numbers, I'm like, what's going on? Well, it's going, yeah. In Canada, look on Canada for a second. One of the largest food charities, if not the largest food charity in Canada, gets money from Canadian individuals, gets money from Canadian companies, gets money from Canadian governments, and they feed nobody in Canada. Everything goes overseas. And when I asked them about it, do you know that a child dies every 10 seconds from starvation and malnutrition? I'm like, yeah, I did know that. So why not send 70% and keep 30 here, or 80%, keep some? Why everything? And I didn't really it wasn't articulated very well. It's just, this is what we do. Okay. But it's wrong still. So I think that's wrong. I think we have to look at ourselves first. If we did that, we'd have less problems here, and then we'd have more money to help other people. But it's like the old thing, look after yourself first. But we don't seem to have bought into that yet. What we need to. Otherwise, you wouldn't have 75,000 people living in the streets of LA.
That makes sense, Stephen. Getting ready to wrap up here. What is your ultimate mission? You've already alluded to that a couple of times, but I want to make sure that it's really clear for the audience in terms of feeding the hungry and providing shelter. Am I correct?
Yes and no. So we build new models in both of those, about the feeding and the homelessness. But our model, when I started this, I said, and I was very adamant about this, I want to leave a positive impact in the world. And I was questioned by many people. Okay, but what's that look like? What are the causes? I'm like, no, I'm going to build a model that's going to touch them all. And then recently in an interview, someone says, how long will it take you to eradicate homelessness? Hunger is 50 million people, but homelessness. And I said, we're hoping that it could be done in the next 5 to 7 years. They're like, oh. And then she said to me, why would people continue to pay the 48.70? I'm like, first of all, very strategic. So when you pay 48.70, you can't get a tax receipt, but you're going to get you're going to get a discount mobile app. 700,000 vendors. You're going to be in every single day. You're going to be in draws to win cruise vacations, Airbnb, Uber, all those things. We're going to make it almost impossible for you to ever stop paying. I had 19-year-old kids in my focus groups. I said, you're going to do it forever? When I first asked them in the beginning, they're like, forever? We're going to live to be 300. What are you talking about? By the time I was finished telling them all the stuff they got, they were like, why would we stop? That's how you create sustainability, true sustainability. So if I reached out to all those people after we ended homelessness, and I said to all of them, 25 million of them, hey, thanks very much. This is what we've done, and we're doing this. And now we're going to move on to mental health. Is everybody still okay with that? How many people do you think would stop? First of all, they're still getting all that stuff. So they stop, they're going to lose themselves. So they're not going to do that. And right away she said, oh, wow, you can just keep changing from cause to cause. I said, yes. And remember, purpose-driven travel, we get the volunteers from all the causes. So if you look at, if somebody, and they will, there's a company in just outside of LA that's going to do it. They're going to come and give me the whole impact that we're having. What about our app? People saving all that, that's going to help people too. So we have all these different things that are going to help people. And I think we just want to leave a positive impact in the world as big as we could make it, and then have that legacy go on long after I'm gone. So that it's going to be one of those companies that keeps looking for other good things that they can do and creating democracy.
I love that. Thanks for the work that you're doing, Stephen. Where can people find out more about anything you spoke about today, you personally, or the causes?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is go to rtggroupusa.com. That's our main site. On there, there's all the different programs in that. If they want to know specifically about purpose-driven travel, PDT, we call it, purpose-driven-travel.net is the site there. They're all being merged into, we're going there separate. Some of them are separate companies, but it's all going to be merged into the RTG group of companies, because we're about to launch purpose-driven creators, purpose-driven artists. That's the beautiful thing about what we do. And the most one I'm excited about right now is purpose-driven communities. So these communities we're going in, we're now going to start to build rental buildings, and they'll all be used for subsidized housing. And so we've got backers on that. They're coming out of the woodwork now because of real estate. So anyway, those are the types of things that we can.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on today, Stephen.